A celebrated arrival, Thursday, July 11, 1963. The Wilson family blessing the world with a 6 pounds 8 ounce son at Mercy Hospital, their son named after his great-grandfather Dorson Wilson. The couple agreeing on the middle name of Scott, tantamount to one of the 7 Mercury astronauts, Scott Carpenter, so as to not to saddle the new arrival with an elderly calling name such as Dorson. The newborn being the center of both grandmothers' attention. Gary's mother Betty having flown in from Oakland, his father and sister Nancy arriving by car. The two grandmothers' first visit to the hospital was omnibus. Helen, while driving to the hospital amidst a 5-inch downpour, exited the Exchange Avenue Bridge unaware of the standing high water, the car coming to an abrupt halt, water entering at door level. Gary's family's stay seemingly brief, and with their departure came a new realm of responsibility, the couple soon discovering the proximity of Kaye's mother and grandmother, living but 4 doors away, was a blessing. With the family expansion and Kaye's return to work, Gary continuing to pursue his nighttime musical ambitions, but finding it necessary to adjust his daytime schedule to accommodate the new commitment. A learning experience was enhanced, a 2 a.m. rocking chair and bottle feeding when coming home from the club, an early morning wake-up call. Rising each weekday morning to fashion 8 bottles of formula from condensed milk and corn syrup, in a sterilizer, but drawing the line with washing diapers, placing a call to employ a scheduled diaper service. Adjusting to life's new atmosphere. So ever grateful for the willingness of Grandma Sarah to attend to Scott when needed, allowing him to pursue his avocation, and retain a measure of diversified activity. The Untouchables were engaged at Jean's Spa-Yen Club at the corner of Southeast 29th and Air Depot Boulevard in Midwest City, the crossroads ascertained as the northwest boundary of the prestigious Tinker Air Force Base. William Eugene Anthony's enterprising business was circuitous, a private club, a restaurant, bar, and liquor store, all encompassing this paramount corner location. Gary finding Jean and his wife Ruby very affable, and their business practice somewhat anomalous, the club's distinctive clientele adhering to strict procedures and dress codes. Non-members desiring to secure club admittance were required to sign in as guest, and a requirement on weekends, that all male customers entering after 8 p.m. to adhere to a dress code that included a tie, which could be borrowed from an ample supply held in custody at the entrance. During an evening performance, Gary became aware of an inquisitive person giving his Wurlitzer Electric 112 the once-over. During a 15-minute break, the person approached Gary, introducing himself as the pianist with the Righteous Brothers, and that the touring recording artists would be performing tomorrow afternoon, an evening at the Spring Lake Amphitheater. He related he had called several music stores in search of replacement reeds for his Wurlitzer electric piano, only to discover none were available. But a person at the Hammond organ store mentioned that Gary had the only Wurlitzer electric in the city, and that he was playing at the Spa-Yen. Gary having discovered long ago from experience, to keep a supply of the hard-to-find Wurlitzer replacement reeds. Without hesitation he offered what the Righteous Brothers pianist needed, and in exchange, he was issued an invitation to attend the matinee as a guest, and an introduction to Bill Medley and Bobby Hatfield. The following afternoon, Gary and Kaye arrived at the amphitheater, Gary mentioning the situation at gate, being seated. The two waiting, but apparently the pianist was too involved with the show to give Gary the promised recognition. The couple remained enjoying the show, Gary giving thought at its conclusion about approaching the pianist once more, but deciding it wasn't that important. An unexpected phone call from the Ruth Sally agency. Ruth inquiring if the Untouchables would be available for a private engagement 2 weeks from Saturday at the exclusive Sportsman's Country Club at Northwest 39th and Meridian Avenue. Ruth then extended a question to Gary that had never before been queried. Would you have a problems playing a gay function? Gary hesitated, speaking for himself, saying that he didn't have a problem with the clientele, but would like to confer with the other members of the band. Gary never having been in the Sportsman's Club, asking about the facility. Ruth explaining, the Sportsman's Country Club was a gated estate, with on-ground parking, and for this booking, off-duty Oklahoma City police officers would be present for security, and payment would be made by Robinson Janitorial Service, a downtown company that serviced high-rise business offices. Gary placing calls to the other members of the band relating the particulars of the engagement. When explained, Glenn's reaction was one of curiosity, as was sax player Larry Burns. Jerry never questioned or commented when told of a gay booking. Ruth was correct about the security. An uniformed officer was at the entrance gate directing passage to the parking area, where another officer stood watch over the parking that was rapidly being consumed with luxurious Lincolns and Cadillacs. Upon entering, the Untouchables finding the stage addressing a large dance floor and banquet area, the participants already beginning to encompass the ballroom. Gary's curiosity was fastened, having faltered about groups such as this, but never acquiring an association. Surveying the assembly, discovering the men outnumbering the women, 4-1, which for a dance wasn't unusual, the grouping covering a wide age spectrum, giving an appearance of normalcy. The first songs finding a listening audience, but when the dancing commenced, Gary immediately recognized something was amiss with guitar playing Jerry. He seemed to be paralyzed. His expression was one of perplexity. Then realizing he was trying to make sense of the scene before him. The couples on the dance floor all dancing with like genders. It was obvious. It became apparent that Jerry failed to comprehend when being informed of the distinction. He mistaken the meaning of the word gay as denoting happy. During an intermission, Gary made the acquaintance of the Robinsons, the custodians of the Gay Groups Association, finding the steward and his wife participating only as administrators and organizers for the activities of the Gay Alliance. It became very apparent that many prominent business celebrities were active members of this shadowed community. The band concluding their engagement to a very divergent but appreciative audience, discerning their first exposure to a new culture diversity and an experience of empathy, but appreciative that music knows no bounds.